So, here's the situation I got going on. I was going to re-side the garage because this old lap siding is getting, well, that's actually probably some of the better of it, but most of it's like this here, just non-existent. And I think with the fact that it was non-existent helped lead to see if you guys can see this situation. This is all rotted out. So we're gonna try to fix this. We're gonna have to jack the wall up some. I'll go over my preferred method of jacking. This here's somebody drywalled the inside real quick, so that's all drywall, so I don't have to worry about most of these boards actually going anywhere. Somebody missed their screw there. And we'll see how it goes. Normally, if this wasn't attached on the inside to this drywall to hold the stud still, I would have probably taken maybe across the bottom here and put a scab in a 2x4. Just screw it to each stud, and that way they don't move back and forth. But in this case, we'll get right to jacking the wall up. I'll do a little setup. It doesn't look like it's spread any further. Right there's where it seems to have ended. And we'll probably do a little something about this here too, or about a little worm rot. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so here's what we got going on. Took a piece of rough cut 2 by, I think it's 10 or 12. I found it here, and what I did was I screwed it to every stud in the wall. Going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 8 feet the whole way across. Okay, and then this here is a nice chunk of I think it's oak I found, because this garage is older than time, and it looks like it was left over from, like it was part of a tabletop or something at one point. But I got it wedged up there against it, and down here, because wait, let me see if I can show you. You can see we're at a bit of an angle going down to the jack out of my truck. This is just a little ball jack out of my truck. And of course I got that propped up here on the 4x4s and that 2x4, and it's set up so that, you know, because if anything it's going to kick in this direction. You know, it's not going to go this way, it's not going to go this way, it's going to go back that way. So it's all braced for forces applied to it this way. And the reason I like using this jack versus like a floor jack is, number one, it's relatively cheap. Number two, I already had it. And number three is it moves very slow, because we're going to watch like right down on the bottom of the wall there somewhere. And if this moves a ½ inch, it'll be plenty for what we're going to do. But okay, let's get the jacking. Focus. I'm doing this one-handed, so you're going to have to forgive me for the clumsy abruptness and the fact that the handle just slipped off. And there we go. Now it's very good to listen as you do this, because if you hear a slight crack or creak like you would when it starts to expand, that's not really a bad thing. But if you hear anything loud, you're probably in for it. You know what I mean? Yep, I can definitely see it moving now. And how will you tell when you're up? Well, I'm gonna check it here in a minute. It's getting tight, too tight to do by one hand anyway. Right there. I don't know how well you can see it, but I can move the whole thing, and that whole bottom plate's moved. Alright, now on to part B. Alright, so now that we got the weight off, as you can see, it still moves. No weight. You're going to be a little bit surgical in this, and with your Sawzall, try to cut the nails where these are toe nailed together. Like this one I already cut loose. I don't know if you can see that move. But we're going to go all the way back to at least there, maybe right in line with that one. I don't know. We'll see how this goes, but I'll show you in a little bit. We're going to take all this off because I don't know if you guys can see in here, but you go in and I can take, and this in here is soft all the way up to right about here, so we'll have to change this out too. And like I said, you want to be as surgical about this as possible. You don't want to just start ripping and tearing, because that's when you get in trouble. Like, try to remove a section at a time as we go. Right here, I'll show you guys me Sawzalling this bad boy off. Unless it gets too loud or rambunctious, then I'll just edit the video. Or I could charge my battery, because you know what? That sucked, but you get the idea. Well, just like everything else, peel the front siding off, and yeah, my fingers should not be able to do that. Matter of fact, this is just mush. But the repair stays basically the same, except now we've got a couple more boards to chop out. I don't know where I'm going to carry this to, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, we'll figure it out. Alright, so what I did was I took my Sawzall there and I cut across the bottom of this one, and underneath that one, and actually it was so rotted underneath there it just kind of crumbled out of the way. So I was able to clean all this out, and the reason, I'll have to address this later, this brought it out so bad was because of I think water coming down, laying here, and then laying against right here. So what I'm going to do is get out my tape measure and cut a couple pieces of the treated lumber in the back of my truck, and then put them underneath here. Now what you want to also do is you want to check the bottoms of your boards, because they very well might have a nail that, yeah, like here's a nail head right there. You can't see it, but I can feel it. I'll just Sawzall that puppy off or something. So that way it keeps your boards from going under, and you end up cutting and cutting and cutting and can't figure out why. Now there is a little bit of rot in this one, But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add a piece to here, and that'll be good enough because it's not really rotted. Some of the more severe ones, like this faceboard here, we'll see. I might splice a piece in, or I might just change the whole thing. But it looks like we're gonna get wet, so I'm gonna move all my stuff inside, and I'll catch up with you after a bit once I've cut those boards and see how they fit, and I'll show you that. Alright, as you can tell, I'm not gonna get much done more outside today, but I did get some new plates in. Now I cut them just a hair short, like a 1/4 inch shorter than they were, just so that they would slide in better. But yeah, I don't think it's too bad. Sorry for all the camera movement. I'm not used to looking through the camera and stuff. I'll do a little fidgeting trying to get it all lined up, as you did notice, maybe, based off the fact that you can see outside now. I did have to jack the roof up a little bit more. Oh, that's why it's so goofy. We're zoomed in all the way. Must have bumped that by accident. But anyway, now we just let it down a little bit so that the studs are touching, and then screw them together. I'm going to screw the sill plates to each other, and then screw at an angle, you know, toe screw, whatever you want to call it, these studs in. I'm going to let it back down to these touch once I get these boards screwed and in place. I'm not going to screw them to the concrete because this side might move yet, and if I screw this side down and then this joint screwed together, it won't really matter if there's a screw in here or not. But I gotta put tarps up. Gotta go. Bye. Alright, it's the next morning because it rained all last night. Here's where I'm at. Still got the house jacked up. As you can see, there's nothing attaching these boards. So what I'm going to do, as you can see right there where this board ends, I'm going to see, oh, I might be able to too. I could just pry most of that off the bottom, and I'll just whack this one like right here. Then I'll drill some holes down through this one, so that way I can drill down through the second board after we set it back down and run some tap cons. And then we'll work on treating that little corner there. But, alright, let's get to it. That actually was pretty spectacular. Right there's the board. And all I did was I pried down on it just a little bit because I had the wall up. And then just ran my Sawzall across and cut all the nails. And it slid right out. Alright, I'm gonna cut right about here or so, and then whack this corner off, and then we'll get the new boards ready to set in place. Alright, cut this one off at the good, eliminated the little spacer piece that was here, and then I cut this one off where it was good. I removed that rotted board there and cut the little bit of rot out of this section here. So here's my game plan. I started to cut, like there's a little bit of rot in this one, but it's actually not too bad, but I still want to remove it, so I cut across here, but then I stopped. And the reason I stopped this is I need some place to measure from so I can make sure that all of these boards line up. I'm probably gonna actually lower it down just so this touches right here, and then I'm gonna lay a full board, like full size, the whole way down through here. I'm gonna splice a piece into the bottom of this, cut this off, splice a piece into the bottom of that. I know it sounds horrible, all these splices, but what I'm gonna do to combat that is I'm gonna put another stud in here, full length stud, and another one right in about like that, to take some of the burden off this corner, because I have all those splices in there.
but it should be stronger than it was before. I'll slide a board underneath there, put a small board there, and start rebuilding this all back up. Let's get going. Alright, here's where I came up with at the end. It's still up a little bit. I have my new piece of pressure treated lumber in here. Run all the way up the top. This is just a spacer. This is a little rotted piece. And instead of running it the whole way out, what I did was I cut it a little short, and then I went back and I redid that piece so it runs the whole way, and then it's like a cap, you know, like you would do up there on the ceiling or the roof, under the roof joists. That way it's screwed down here, so these two are connected. I'm actually kind of happy with this. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. The screws are just to hold the boards in place. Now I know you're thinking there's a pretty big gap here, and I agree to a certain extent, but honestly, this whole cut's a little crooked, and I think I got enough support. I might still put another stud in here on the side. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that just for the sakes. We'll run another stud, but I got to let the wall the rest of the way down. Just another something in here to take the load off in case anything should shift or move. It'll carry the load down here. But realistically, I'm very pleased with it. Like I said, I'm still gonna drill like a hole here, maybe two, and then run my Tapcon drill bit down through into the block, and then run a Tapcon or two, just two Tapcons, just keep anything from moving. It shouldn't go anywhere, but just a little bit of extra. And like I said, these screws, two things about the screws. Number one, I'm not using drywall screws because first off they rust, second off they're very brittle. But also the screws are only holding the boards, keeping them from, you know, kicking out. But yeah, I'm gonna call this pretty much licked. Like 98%. And it wasn't too bad. Now hopefully I don't find any others. But we got a lot of siding yet to take off. I don't know. Looking at it from the inside, they don't look bad. Like that corner. I don't know if you can see it right there. See, I can still see the boards there. You know, and this is where I started. Was reframing the garage. They actually, the people I kicked out of here, they actually hit that corner with the car, and I had to tear that off. And as you can see, the siding's just old, rotted. I pulled that board off. The windows are going away. I don't like the windows. All that. Anybody wants some firewood, come get it. Contact me. Make it soon. I'm going to try to get this thing flipped and re-rented here shortly. But we're going to take the load back off, toe screw all the boards back in that we untoed screwed, untoe nailed, I don't know what you call it, and then put another stringer in and be done. Bye.